When Ronda Rousey talks about WWE after leaving the company, you know it's either going to be diplomatic corporate speak or absolutely scorching truth bombs with zero filter. Spoiler alert, it's definitely the latter. And while that clickbait headline claims she got sacked for saying 4 specific things, let's pump the brakes and separate what actually got her released versus what she said after the fact that probably made WWE executives spit out their coffee. Because Ronda didn't hold back, and what she revealed about working under Vince McMahon's regime is the kind of tea that wrestling fans have been thirsty for. Before we dive into the supposed 4 things that got Ronda sacked, let's establish some actual facts, because accuracy matters even when we're having fun roasting billion-dollar companies. Ronda Rousey was fired, or sacked allegedly, from WWE in the traditional sense. She left the company in late October 2023 after her contract terminated, and by all accounts, it was a mutual parting where both sides decided not to renew their relationship. That's not exactly being terminated or released, which is what sacked implies. But facts are boring when you're trying to generate clicks, so here we are. Ronda Rousey has now officially confirmed that her WWE career is completely over and that she's retired from professional wrestling altogether. During a recent appearance on the Bertcast podcast, the baddest woman on the planet was directly asked whether she wanted to revisit her past as a wrestler and potentially return to WWE. Her answer was pretty definitive and probably not what WWE brass wanted to hear, though they're likely not losing sleep over it either. Rousey confessed that while she's grateful for all the opportunities WWE provided, she has completely moved on and has little to no desire to make a comeback in any form. That's not leaving the door open for a nostalgia run or a Hall of Fame appearance followed by one more match. That's slamming the door shut, deadbolting it, and maybe setting the house on fire for good measure. When Ronda Rousey says she's done, she means it with the same intensity she brought to armbar submissions in UFC. Let's rewind and appreciate what Ronda accomplished during her WWE run, because her resume is legitimately impressive, regardless of how messy things got toward the end. She made a massive splash when she left UFC in 2018 to explore a wrestling career, and despite skepticism from hardcore wrestling fans who thought she'd be another celebrity train wreck, Rousey actually took to professional wrestling like a fish to water. She wasn't just competent, she was genuinely good at it. Ronda built an impressive championship resume that most wrestlers would kill for. She won the SmackDown Women's Championship twice, proving that she could carry that brand's women's division. She captured the Raw Women's Championship once, main eventing WrestleMania in the process. She even won the Women's Tag Team Championship, rounding out a grand slam of sorts across WWE's women's divisions. That's not the career of someone who phoned it in or couldn't hang with professional wrestlers. That's legitimate accomplishment. But despite all that success and those accolades, Ronda left WWE in late October 2023 and after making a handful of appearances on independent shows, decided to step away from wrestling completely. That timeline is important because it suggests her issues with WWE weren't just temporary frustration that could be fixed with a break. She tried working elsewhere, realized wrestling as a whole wasn't fulfilling her anymore, and made the decision to retire entirely. Now, here's where things get spicy and where that fake headline about 4 things she said comes from. During that Bertcast podcast appearance and other interviews, Ronda was remarkably candid about what working in WWE was actually like, particularly under Vince McMahon's regime. She didn't sugarcoat anything or play the political game of saying nice things about her former employer. She went full honesty mode, and what she revealed painted a picture of WWE that insiders know but rarely discuss publicly. Ronda mentioned that she was genuinely taken aback by how disorganized and chaotic things were in WWE. For someone coming from UFC, where Dana White ran things with an iron fist and clear decision-making structure, walking into WWE's creative chaos must have been like entering an alternate dimension where logic goes to die. She disclosed that everyone in the company was absolutely petrified by Vince McMahon and rarely made any decisions on their own without his explicit prior permission. Think about what that means for a second. You've got dozens of writers, producers, agents, and executives all theoretically empowered to make decisions about a multi-billion-dollar entertainment company, but in reality, everyone's too scared of Vince McMahon to actually use any of that authority without running it by him first. That creates an environment where everything bottlenecks through one person, decisions get made and unmade constantly, and nobody takes initiative because they're terrified of getting yelled at or fired. For someone like Ronda Rousey, who's used to being a decision maker herself and working in environments where people take ownership of their responsibilities, that culture must have been incredibly frustrating. She's a former UFC champion, an Olympic medalist, someone who's operated at the highest levels of combat sports where preparation and execution matter. Walking into WWE and discovering it's run like a chaotic dictatorship where everyone's afraid to sneeze without permission had to be jarring. The fact that Ronda felt comfortable sharing these observations publicly tells you she has absolutely zero interest in maintaining a relationship with WWE or protecting their corporate image. She's not worried about being blackballed or burning bridges because she's genuinely done with the industry and doesn't need anything from them. That kind of freedom allows you to speak truth without filter, and Ronda took full advantage of that opportunity. Now, did these comments get Ronda fired or sacked like that sensational headline claims? Absolutely not, because she had already left the company before making most of these public statements. You can't fire someone who's already quit and moved on with their life. But would these comments have gotten her in trouble if she was still under contract? Almost certainly yes. WWE historically hasn't appreciated talent publicly criticizing the company's management structure or calling out how Vince McMahon operated. What's particularly interesting is that even though Vince McMahon has now been sidelined from WWE with Triple H stepping into the head of creative role, Ronda is still unlikely to return regardless of who's running things. That suggests her issues weren't just with Vince personally, but with wrestling culture, WWE schedule, and maybe just being done with performing in that particular way. Triple H running a presumably less chaotic creative process doesn't change Ronda's fundamental decision that wrestling isn't for her anymore. There's also the reality that Ronda's wrestling career, while successful on paper, was marked by some controversy and fan backlash that probably soured the experience for her. Despite being incredibly talented and working hard to get better, there was always a segment of the fan base that resented her for being a celebrity outsider who got opportunities based on her name rather than paying dues on the independent circuit for years. That kind of constant criticism and gatekeeping takes a psychological toll. The other things Ronda has said about WWE in various interviews paint a picture of someone who felt constrained by the system, frustrated by the creative process, and ultimately unfulfilled by the whole experience.